Alright, now that Dad's gone, I'll be the one dividing up the inheritance. Haha.
As soon as the funeral for Henry, my husband, was over, my eldest son, Steve, started talking about the inheritance.
What? Why would you do that?
Sean, his younger brother, made a puzzled face, to which Steve grinned.
Because Dad passed away suddenly, meaning he didn't leave a will, right? So as the eldest, it's my job to divide it.
I was dumbfounded by Steve's words, and could only stare in astonishment.
First, I'll inherit all the real estate Dad owned. Mom gets this house, and Sean, you'll get the money in Dad's bank account.
I was furious at Steve's selfishness. Henry had been sending money every month to support our financially irresponsible son, Steve, and his wife. Yet Steve, ungrateful and not even mourning, was only thinking about money. I couldn't forgive him. During that time, Sean came to me with a suggestion, and I, determined to get back at my selfish eldest son and his wife, made up my mind. I am 75 years old. I married Henry, a salesman, and we've had 50 years together. I gave birth to our eldest son, Steve, when I was 27. My first experience of childbirth and parenting was a series of unfamiliar challenges, so overwhelming that I almost gave up. 3 years later, I gave birth to Sean, our second son. I thought the second time around would be easier due to experience, but it just meant double the trouble with another child. Raising 2 boys was even now a memory of exhausting days. However, once the children married and it was just Henry and I again, those busy days became fond memories. Henry, though just a salesman, earned enough for our family of 4 to live comfortably, so we never struggled with money. After the kids graduated from college and we started having a bit more financial breathing room, Henry began investing in real estate. I didn't know much about it, but he assured me that he was doing it to secure a stable income for our retirement, so I shouldn't worry. I respected and trusted Henry, believing we would enjoy a peaceful retirement without any money troubles. But reality wasn't so kind. Steve, who had always been serious, failed in his job search and started spending his days drinking and squandering money. Steve had always been a good student, advancing to the highest-ranking high school in our county, and maintained decent grades. The neighbors praised him as a son to be proud of, and he seemed pleased about it. He even went to a fairly well-known private university in New York. As parents, we were proud of Steve and never doubted he would land a job at a good company. But the moment Steve left his hometown and moved to New York, he was hit with reality. There were countless people more talented than him, and he failed at numerous job interviews with famous companies. Eventually, he returned home and got a job at a decent company. It seems a few of his middle school classmates were working at the same company. Steve ended up working under classmates who had gone to high schools with much lower academic standings and had gotten jobs after community college. This seemed to wound Steve's pride, and he began drinking daily to the point of losing his memories.
Steve, you should stop bar hopping so much. It's bad for your health.
What? Shut up, old man. Just lend me some money. My salary is too low to even go out drinking.
I just lent you money recently, didn't I? I can't keep lending you tens of thousands like this.
When Henry said that, Steve smashed a glass he was holding.
You're sitting on money, yet you won't even lend any to your own son. So because I failed to get a good job, I'm nothing to you now? Sorry for not being your perfect son.
That's not it at all.
Then you'll lend me the money, right?
Henry, after a moment of thought, reluctantly handed Steve some money. I couldn't stand up to Steve. He was physically strong and imposing, so I just quietly cleaned up the broken glass. Steve seemed to feel inferior to his younger brother, Sean, too. Sean graduated from a local state university's law school and is now working as a lawyer. Both Steve, working at a general company, and Sean, working as a lawyer, are precious sons to me who I see as admirable. But no matter how much I express this, it only results in pushback. Sean married a woman he had dated since his college days and now lives nearby. However, even past 30, Steve continued to drink daily and had flashy relationships with women. Bad rumors about him began to spread in the neighborhood. The fact that he was borrowing over $1,000 from Henry almost every month made me worry about his future. Then, a few years later, when Steve turned 38, he brought home a woman named Mary, saying he wanted to marry her.
I've changed since meeting Mary. I've been too dependent on you and Dad, but from today, I want to be a man and protect Mary.
Seeing Steve smiling calmly, I felt relieved that he had finally turned a new leaf. Mary was 15 years younger than Steve. At that time, marriages with such an age difference were rare, and I was anxious. However, I was overjoyed that Steve wanted to be independent, so I blessed their marriage. But this turned out to be a mistake. Mary was very extravagant with money. 2 weeks after they got married, Steve and his wife came to our house together, asking to borrow money.
We're planning our honeymoon, and we're short on cash. Can you lend us some?
Where are you planning to go?
To Scandinavia. Mary wants to go there.
The newlyweds looked at each other happily.
Scandinavia is far and expensive, isn't it? Why not choose somewhere more within your means, like a domestic trip?
What? A domestic trip for a honeymoon? Unbelievable.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, right? It's only natural to fly first class and go abroad, isn't it? You're wealthy. So why are you being so stingy?
If you have the money, you shouldn't hesitate about lending it, said Mary without a hint of shame.
Steve, not reprimanding Mary for her unreasonable demands, even nodded in agreement with her words.
Really, Dad has always been stingy. You've got money, so stop being so tight-fisted. I bet Mom and you don't even spend much, right?
Yeah, exactly. Money is wasted if not used. We'll spend it for you.
Seeing Mary's beaming smile, I felt a headache coming on. To me, Mary was like no one I had ever met before, and I didn't know how to deal with her. The two of them wouldn't listen and kept saying that since Henry has money, it's only natural for him to share it with them because they don't have much. It wasn't just about the honeymoon. They frequently came to our house asking for money because they were out of it. Before I knew it, Henry was sending money to our eldest son and his wife almost every month.
When will this kind of life end?
Henry muttered, looking utterly exhausted. Sean tried to talk some sense into Steve, but Steve avoided him, not answering calls or replying to emails. In the end, even after Steve turned 40, the financial support continued. Then suddenly, it all came to an end. Henry passed away unexpectedly from aortic dissection. I couldn't accept this sudden goodbye. I kept thinking of Henry all the time, and the tears just wouldn't stop. Sean, taking my place since I was in no state to do so, handled all the funeral arrangements. He managed everything from organizing the funeral parlor to contacting relatives. And despite his own grief, he made sure the funeral went smoothly. Surrounded by former colleagues, neighbors, and lifelong friends, Henry embarked on his journey to heaven. And then back at home after the funeral, having tea with my sons and their wives, Steve suddenly stood up.
All right, now that Dad's gone, I'll be the one dividing up the inheritance. Haha!
What? Why would you do that?
Dad passing away suddenly means he didn't leave a will, right? So as the eldest, it's my job to divide things.
I was dumbfounded by Steve's words and could only stare in astonishment.
First, I'll inherit all the real estate Dad owned. Mom gets this house, and Sean, you'll get the money in Dad's bank account.
Henry's account doesn't have much money in it. At most, there might be around $5,000. The few $100,000 Henry had saved as a frugal man had all been spent on supporting Steve and his wife. Steve knew this, and was probably trying to leave Sean with only the small amount in the account.
Sean, you're making money, so you'll be fine, right? And Mom, you're getting on in years, so you don't need it. I'll take it, okay?
Steve's selfish words ignited frustration in me.
Then, no more financial support from now on. What? You should just hurry up and die too, old lady.
At Mary's words, Sean sighed. Then he said something surprising.
All right, then Mom and I will give up our inheritance. We renounce it.
Sean, what are you saying? As I exclaimed in shock, Sean whispered in my ear, reassuring me.
I don't need the money, and I'll take care of Mom. So, Steve, you and your wife can inherit everything from Dad. You can even live in this house if you want.
Hearing Sean's words, Steve's eyes lit up.
Wow, you're a reasonable one. Just don't come back later asking for inheritance, okay? So.
Of course, but I have one condition. Can I handle the inheritance procedures? I know a lot of accountants and lawyers.
That's no problem at all. In fact, it's exactly what I wanted. With Dad's inheritance, we can live it up.
Yay! There's this bag I've been wanting, and I want to go on a trip.
Steve and his wife left, excitedly talking about all the things they wanted to do with the inheritance. I glared at Sean.
Why did you say that? I don't want Steve, who doesn't even mourn his father's passing, to have the inheritance. And this house is full of precious memories.
Don't worry, I have a plan.
Sean said, smiling slyly at me.
Let's get back at Steve?
Then Sean began to explain his plan for revenge. I was speechless at the idea.
You'll help me, right, Mom?
I nodded immediately at Sean's words. I no longer loved Steve as a son after using Henry's money recklessly for so long. He still only thought about money, even right after his father's death. I vowed to teach him a painful lesson. 3 months later, I had moved into Sean and his wife's house.
All the inheritance procedures are completed. Dad's entire estate has now gone to Steve.
So everything is ready then.
Everything's perfect now.
After breakfast, Sean confidently said this as we slowly sipped our coffee. Suddenly the doorbell rang. The monitor showed Steve and his wife.
What brings you here so early on a Sunday, Steve?
What brings us? What is the meaning of this?
Steve's angry voice echoed.
Don't shout, it's disturbing the neighbors. I'm coming to open the door, just wait.
Saying this, he opened the door to find Steve and his wife standing there, looking furious.
Hey, we got a collection notice from the bank. What's this about?
Yeah, we haven't borrowed any money from the bank.
When I called the bank, they said it was a debt Dad had taken out. Why do I have to pay it? Explain.
Facing an infuriated Steve, Sean let out a sigh.
That's obvious, isn't it? You inherited Dad's estate.
What? So why am I losing money because I inherited it? It's not inheritance tax, is it?
Right? Besides the money mentioned in the collection notice, you'll also have to pay inheritance tax.
The notice is about repaying the debts Dad had.
Dad had debts? What are you talking about?
Dad was wealthy, right? His apartment was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he was earning thousands in rent every month.
Technically, it wasn't debt, but a loan he had taken out. It's common for real estate investors to borrow money from the bank to buy properties, and then pay it back while earning rental income.
On the day of Henry's funeral, after Steve and his wife had left, Sean told me about the debt Henry had. Just 2 months before his passing, he had purchased an apartment worth over $500,000, and there was a significant amount to be repaid to the bank. Since debts are also part of the inheritance, Sean advised that it would be better to renounce it, and he handled the procedures for me. If we had all inherited the debt, it would have been divided into 3 parts. But since you, Steve, inherited everything, you also inherited the entire debt.
What? What's this all about? Pretending to be rich, but actually just borrowing from the bank. Just a show-off, old man?
How could you say such a thing?
I glared at Mary, who couldn't help but click her tongue.
Don't get so angry. It's not just a debt, it was a loan. There's rental income, so just repay it monthly.
We're angry because we don't have that kind of money. We thought we were getting a fortune and went on a trip just yesterday.
We've already spent all our savings, so we don't have any money to pay the bank. You guys should pay it instead.
Unperturbed by Steve and his wife, Sean tilted his head.
Why should I have to pay? Shouldn't the rental income be coming in soon?
We can't wait for that. We've got credit card bills to pay, and it's not enough.
That's your responsibility for spending all your money, isn't it? Why should Mom and I have to clean up your mess?
At Sean's exasperated tone, Steve and his wife frowned.
Acting all high and mighty. You've always looked down on me. Don't belittle me.
I'm not looking down on you. It's just common sense, you know? You'll regret it if you don't live within your means.
At Sean's words, Steve's face twisted in frustration. Just then, Mary, standing next to Steve, lit up with an idea, smiling broadly.
If there's already a debt, maybe it's better to renounce the inheritance, right? If Mom and Sean could do it, Steve can too, right?
Absolutely. You're smart. I'm renouncing the inheritance too. Sean, you handle the paperwork.
To Steve's words, Sean flashed a cunning smile.
Unfortunately, it's too late to renounce the inheritance now.
You can only renounce within 3 months of the death. It's been over 3 months since Dad passed away, so Steve, you have no choice but to accept the inheritance.
That's so unfair.
Yeah, escaping debt while leaving us with it. Cowards.
I struggled to suppress my laughter at the stomping and fuming couple. I never thought it would turn out exactly as Sean had predicted. Sean had purposely delayed the inheritance process, claiming it took time, waiting until the 3-month mark had passed. By informing them about the inheritance right after that period, he ensured they couldn't renounce it.
Legally, Steve is responsible for the debt, so it's no longer our concern.
If repayment is tough, why not sell the apartment and turn it into cash?
If we do that, we'll lose our passive income.
Right? You either continue to earn rental income while repaying monthly, or sell the apartment now to repay the debt.
It's your decision, Steve. Steve was fidgeting irritably.
Well, now that you understand the notice, can you leave? It's still early in the morning.
And I don't want my day off to be disturbed. Seeing Sean eager for them to leave, Steve and his wife began to panic.
Wait, the discussion isn't over. We don't have any money right now. Please, just for this month, could you pay it for us?
Sorry, but that's impossible. I've got heavy expenses this month, too.
Don't be like that. We're brothers, aren't we? Brothers should help each other, Sean. You've got a good income and must have some savings.
Hearing this, Sean burst into laughter.
Is that something that someone who only thinks about themselves should say? You were the one who wanted more of the inheritance, remember? You didn't even help with the funeral arrangements.
Don't talk about brotherhood only when it suits you.
I'm sorry, but I'm not working to support my brother. Dad might have helped you with money, but I won't give you any financial aid.
Despite Steve always feeling inferior and hurling insults, Sean had never retorted until now, but it was evident this had been a significant stress for Sean. He coldly confessed his long-standing dislike for Steve, who just idled and never made an effort. Sean's tone was unlike anything heard before. When Steve realized he wouldn't get help from Sean, he desperately turned to me.
Mom, please, just a bit of money. Can you lend me some?
That's impossible.
Don't say that. Here's an idea. Let's live together. We could use your mom's pension to pay the bank. And you wouldn't have to worry about living costs, right?
Losing my patience with Mary's gleaming eyes, as if she had just come up with a brilliant idea, I snapped. Enough of this. How can you expect me to live with someone who tells me to drop dead?
That was just a joke, right, Mary? You can't be serious.
Yes, exactly. It was just dark humor. Don't be mad.
My eldest son and his wife, sweating, desperately grabbed my shoulders.
Mom, you must be worried about your retirement, right? You've always been a homemaker, so you probably don't have much saved.
I'm working, so we won't struggle for food or shelter. Sorry, but I'm not really short on money.
What? What do you mean?
Seeing their puzzled faces, I decided to explain everything. Actually, Henry had told me to deposit any leftover money into my account that was meant for living expenses. I was told to use the money as I liked, but since I had nothing I particularly wanted, it just kept accumulating. Now I have $200,000 in my account. Now I have almost $200,000 in my account. Now I have $200,000 in my account.
If you have that much money, lend me some. Your son is in such trouble, right?
Steve pleading with his eyebrows furrowed only exasperated me.
Can you stop? You who didn't even mourn your father's passing are no son of mine.
Besides, I told you no more financial support, didn't I? So I'm not giving you a single penny.
Please listen. The truth is,
I've been hiding it, but I'm in debt. I wanted a larger inheritance to pay off my debts. I'm already struggling to repay them, let alone cover Dad's share too.
it seems they were naively thinking that if they got the inheritance, they could pay off all their debts and then just relax and have fun.
Despite being in debt, Steve and his wife indulged in luxuries like buying designer bags. They likely used the money they got from Henry to pay off their debts until now.
Mom, help us out. I know we've been wrong in the past. We'll take care of you in your old age. We'll do anything.
I don't need you to look after me in my old age. I have enough money to consider a retirement home, and I have Sean with me.
Exact. I'll take care of Mom, so don't worry. Maybe you should just focus on yourself, big brother.
Damn it, why is this happening?
Steve repeatedly punched the floor in frustration.
Sean then grabbed Steve by the arm and led him to the front door. Can you just stay out of our lives from now on? Bye.
Hey, are you seriously kicking us out? We're not done talking. At least lend us enough for this month's payment.
Sean and I exchanged incredulous looks.
The debt is your responsibility.
If you had talked to us sooner, we could have helped a bit, but I can't be kind to someone who tries to swindle money like this.
By the way, even if you're family, lying to borrow money and not repaying it can lead to fraud charges.
You should be grateful you're not being sued, and just leave.
Proud. That was never our intention.
Mary clutched her mouth, trembling. As if they had realized the gravity of their actions, Sean pushed Steve and his wife, who had gone quiet, out of the front door.
Wait, Sean, Mom, I'm sorry I was wrong, please.
Please don't be mean. Forgive us, we're sorry.
Steve and his wife were apologizing loudly like elementary school kids, but we didn't respond at all. Feeling the awkward stares of the neighbors, Steve and his wife reluctantly went back to their house. It turns out they ended up selling their condo. However, as Sean predicted, the sale price was lower than the purchase price, leaving them with about $50,000 in debt. Originally, Steve had nearly $200,000 in debt and seemed to have filed for bankruptcy due to repayment difficulties. Their house, car, and designer items were seized, and now they're living in a rundown apartment without a bath. I heard that Mary, who was after the money, asked for a divorce the moment she realized she couldn't get any inheritance from Steve. Steve, refusing to accept a divorce just because things got tough, rejected her request. They're still in dispute about the divorce, and it seems to have turned into a messy situation. And as for me, I was able to reacquire the house I once shared with Henry. Sean bought back the house when it was put up for sale. Although the house has aged a bit over the years, it remains precious to me, filled with memories of Henry and the kids. I'm truly happy to be able to live again in this irreplaceable home. Worried about me living alone, Sean and his wife come to visit every week, bringing back a sense of joy and happiness to my life. Honestly, I still often feel sad remembering Henry, but I cherish the happy memories and plan to live the rest of my life treasuring every moment.